the thing about the multidimensionality that I really would wish, as a teacher about this, for people to really focus on how it's so important. For example, every day in my sessions, I have clients that are exhausted, after a week. And a lot of them are empaths. Of course, I work with lots of empaths that are out in their everyday lives, and they're shopping, or they go to an event with family members. And by the time they're done with the event, they're completely drained. They have no energy. This is not normal. To be drained, to not have energy, to be sick, illness is not normal. It's not normal to be out of balance. It's not normal to be over emotional or have your emotions out of balance, but it's become a norm in our society, unfortunately, because we're constantly in survival mode, and we are constantly completely just told to focus on the material realm and to be in state of survival. So how do we counteract that? Because that was one of the hardest things for me in my early journey, is to merge the spiritual and the practical life. And a lot of people compartmentalize. They say, I just don't have time. How can I have my everyday life and be spiritual at the same time? There's not many schools that focus on showing you the integration of that. They say you need to go meditate, you need to go on a retreat, find yourself, and then, try to come back. The thing is that this work is all the time. It's 24 hours a day, actually. And the reason why multidimensionality is so important to understand is because the reason why we end up suffering, the reason why we end up ill, out of energy, is because we're not learning how to maintain our life force. Speaking of vortices that, he was speaking of earlier, Simon was just talking about, it's incredibly important to understand what the vortex is. This entire body is a vortex, and it's a collection of smaller vortices of energy and information. We are made up of runways of life force. And when those runways get stagnant and stuck, life force cannot move through the body, and we end up ill. We end up depleting energy, and we get something called cords, right? Cords, energetic cords in the body. What does that mean? We are one, okay? But what happens is that we create pools of energy in the body that have been stagnant and now are a resonance to other organisms, other humans, other people that have pools of similar energy, and we begin to bind with them, we cord with them, and we throw back that energy back and forth. And when we're unaware, we completely drain the life force through this space. Our entire multidimensional body, literally, we have holes in the auric field. We get tears in the auric field. So the 13 dimensional bodies, depending on what chakra is out of balance, that's where you're going to have the most tears. So let's say you're in a constant state of survival, your first body. When we look at this in a client, they have the whole back of their body completely open. So what do we find there? A ton of cords connecting to the spine. And these cords are thought forms. Pools of stagnant energy are thought forms that have not been processed, emotions that haven't been processed. So this is how important it is. If you can begin to dissolve and acknowledge, even some people don't want to acknowledge the emotions that they're feeling, it begins to dissolve, and now the energy can move through the body. Now healing can occur. Now your energy is restored just by cutting cords. What does that mean? It's become such a cliche. All that means is becoming aware of your life force, where it's going, and bringing it back into your physical body. And by this manner, you begin to restore the multidimensionality of your body. You begin to restore your energy, and you are no longer counter-creating, you are creating. So this is where you begin to understand the mechanisms. And what does that mean? Your life changes. You're no longer in a state of survival. You're no longer in toxic environments and relationships. You're now having wonderful opportunities in your life. You attract people, places, and things that are in alignment with you, and your life changes. You heal. So this is how important it is. It's creation. It is the state of life. It's vitality, So that's all I would say about that. It's very important to reintegrate and to become whole, which simply means becoming aware of yourself as a multidimensional organism all the way to the 13th dimensional plane. That's what it means to become whole. And essentially, you become one with the rest of the human race.